Hi everyone, I hope you're well. So today I wanted to make a video about 6 lies about minimalist or sustainable slow fashion that you probably heard before, or just general misconceptions that are had. I made a video about misconceptions about sustainable fashion before, but this is kind of a different approach. I'm talking about the kind of things to sort of like the way to construct your wardrobe and what people generally recommend and give us advice in order to have a capsule wardrobe or a minimalist wardrobe. Lena Norms made a video about this type of thing a little while ago, probably a year ago already. And one of the first things that she mentioned is something that I wanted to mention as well, which is that you don't really need a specific set of basics. So this idea that you need a specific set of basics, I think is partly true, because there are some pieces in your wardrobe that you probably get the most use out of. Probably have some type of uniform or some different pieces that you gravitate towards and that you use with pieces that you're not sure about how to wear. But the thing is that you can't really take someone else's list of basic pieces that everyone needs and face value. The ones that I hear the most, as in the pieces that you need, are a little black dress, leather jacket, white plain t-shirt, black pumps, black blazer, blue jeans, camel coat. And if you've seen those articles or those videos, some of you have probably thought that you've never worn those before, and you probably never had the need for those before, and you're not sure if you would even wear them if you bought them. And you're probably right. I mean, I myself rarely wear any of those things, and most of those I don't even own, probably because I know that I would probably never wear them, for example. And I think that's mainly, well, to some degree, it's partly because of your style, and to some degree it's also because of your lifestyle. I think if you work, especially in an office setting, you probably do have a lot of use for a pair of black pumps, blazers, formal dark wash jeans, a leather jacket, things like that. A little black dress, a formal black dress that's just kind of plain, and things like that. But I think I as a student, I figured that I just never would wear any of those things, and I think that most students wouldn't either, unless maybe you study law or something. You study something or you study somewhere where you're expected to have this really formal dress code or something like that. But I was in the humanities, so nobody was really expected to dress particularly formally. It was just kind of however you wanted. I remember I once bought this black pencil skirt, believing that it would go with everything that I have and that I would get a lot of wear out of it because of that. And I found that I really could just wear it with band shirts, and even then I preferred to wear those band shirts with other skirts aside from that one, because I feel like pencil skirts kind of look like office clothes to me. And I know that they're not necessarily like that, but I just don't really, I think they just don't go with me, like they're a bit too formal and sort of like, I guess I am to some degree formal, but I don't want my skirt to be as form-fitting if it's that long, because it kind of restricts your movement. Looking back, I actually think that the main thing that I didn't like about the pencil skirts is the fact that they usually are knee length. And I like dresses sometimes when they're knee length, but I think that certain skirts and certain shorts and things like that just go right to the knee, I think they're kind of the least flattering shape on me. For some reason, I just find that they make me look really short, and even shorter than midi skirts, or just skirts that go to the calves, or almost like maxi skirts for some reason. The slit down the middle on the back is just kind of strange to me, especially because if you may, some of them are kind of designed in this really weird way where if you kind of bend over, the slit at the back could show your panties, so it's kind of weird. And also in terms of jeans, I have not worn jeans in probably 2 years. I had them, I think, in my last capsule wardrobe, or maybe even for these last seasons, but I'm not sure. I definitely never wore them. I think if I had them in the winter spring one, I probably removed them at some point, because I knew that I would never wear them, and I did never wear them. I just didn't reach for them at all. So for you, depending on your lifestyle and where you live, and obviously the weather of the place where you live, Your basics could be like a black skater skirt, a navy maxi skirt, or white heels, boots maybe. And you might gravitate towards colors that aren't neutral. So in your case, you might consider bright colors to be basics too. Like if your wardrobe has a lot of pink, then a solid pink skirt is sort of a basic piece or a staple for you. Another tip that minimalist fashion bloggers usually give is to only use natural fibers or to only get natural fibers. And I do agree that what's really great about natural fibers is that they're more breathable, and for the most part they're better for the environment because synthetics are obviously not biodegradable in comparison. And also they do tend to look a bit nicer. But what I think is very good about materials like polyester is that, one, you usually don't have to iron them, and sometimes ironing certain natural fibers is a little bit tricky, and you don't have to get them dry cleaned. And sometimes it's just more practical to own synthetics. Of course, not all natural fibers have to be ironed either. I've never had to iron any of my wool clothes, for example. But I think if you want a variety of natural fibers, you'll eventually find that you have to get them dry cleaned once in a while. And also, natural fibers aren't quite as biodegradable as it seems that a lot of people think they are. Because they're often dyed, they're bleached, they're processed in some way that could cause them to pollute or cause toxic waste, or it makes them kind of difficult or impossible to compost. Obviously, if you're going to buy something new, it's better to buy a natural fiber, I would say. But if you're buying secondhand anyway, I mean, why not just buy the synthetic polyester stuff if you can handle it? I mean, at the end of the day, you might not actually get that much wear out of a piece that you already know that you have to dry clean, and you have to be kind of really delicate with it if you spill something on it. And there's also the fact that synthetic fibers do look a little bit cheap, and they sometimes don't feel as good. But if you can get a blend of natural and synthetic, I think that's kind of the best of both worlds to some degree, because it gets the practicality of the synthetics, but it often imitates the feel and the look of unnatural fibers. But again, I'm preferably referring to secondhand things. Another idea that gets passed around a lot in capsule wardrobe videos and stuff like that is having mostly solids and only like a few prints. What I think is good about prints is that they incorporate more than one color, so you can actually have more options to wear them with that you might initially think. For example, I have a skirt that's like a wool gray plaid skirt. I will have it on video if I can. And it has some red, it has some white, some black and gray. So it actually looks better with a top in any of those colors than if you were to pair any of those solid tops with just a solid gray skirt. Prints that are very subdued are also very versatile. I think they're sort of an alternative to wearing like a solid thing with a graphic t-shirt or something like that. You're gonna need some solids in both tops and bottoms, obviously, but I think everyone needs prints too. Most of my face masks are also printed, and I wear them sometimes with printed tops and stuff like that because I feel like it sometimes actually looks more balanced. It does tend to look better, I think, if the print is actually on the bottom and not the top. It's better to have like print, solid, and then print, but I like printed masks either way. And I like printed face masks a lot because they look very purposeful, it's not like you're just wearing the mask because you have to. It looks more like an accessory, and I think that looks really nice. It looks like it's part of your outfit, And I think that sometimes if you have just a bunch of solids, you're going to find that the outfits that you end up with, even if they do work, they probably don't quite satisfy you and convince you as much as they would if one of those pieces was printed. Another idea that I see very often is that neutrals go with everything. And I guess it's sort of a common sense kind of thing that most people believe, and to some degree it is true. I mean, the point of neutrals is that they go with everything. But sometimes you'll have a printed or colorful piece that it doesn't exactly clash with a neutral piece, but it still doesn't look great. It doesn't look as great. For example, I have this printed blouse that's colorful and kind of muted, and this black skater skirt. They don't clash, but they don't look that well together either. So I can pull the white from the shirt and wear it with these skirts, or if I had a royal or navy blue skirts, I think that would be ideal for this one. Blue skirt would actually go well with some of my band shirts that have a lot of blue in them too, and that might actually look better than with the black skater skirt, even if it's just a black that goes with everything. It looks more interesting, and it also, since it's solid, it doesn't really take away from the print, even if it's colorful too. So sometimes the neutral piece just isn't really the ideal for an outfit, and if it's not really the best thing that you can pair it with, then you're probably not gonna reach for it that much, because you know that there's a better alternative to make a better outfit that you're more into and that you like more and that you're gonna get more wear out of. I think that's also one of the issues that I have with capsule wardrobes a lot, because you might be able to get many outfits out of a few pieces, but you're not necessarily going to like those outfits. You're not necessarily gonna wear them all. You're probably gonna prefer a lot of versions of the same outfit, if you will, over others, and those that you prefer are the ones that you'll end up wearing. And I feel like if you only pair colorful pieces with neutral pieces, you don't really use the clothes to their fullest potential sometimes. And maybe I'm kind of guilty of it myself, because I often want to go with the safer option when it comes to color combinations, and I also have a wardrobe that is mostly black and white, and there's a couple of pieces that have some other colors here and there. I don't tend to have a lot of room for color combinations and stuff like that, but sometimes I do, and sometimes it kind of surprises me, like especially when there's a print that is fairly colorful or a band logo that is pretty bright and colorful, and it goes very well with like a bright skirt in the same color family. And I think a lot of the capsule wardrobe videos, especially the ones that have very, very few pieces, like 10 to 20, they only have a bunch of like really solid neutral pieces, and let's be real, for most people that's just really boring to have a bunch of beiges with some white, or just black with some navy denim, or and maybe some white. And I think that might drive some people away from the idea of a capsule wardrobe, which I think that most people can have a capsule wardrobe regardless of their style. In fact, that's partly why I wanted to focus a little bit more on fashion on this channel, because I think that a lot of people who are more alternative or more, I guess not necessarily colorful, but more, they don't necessarily have the standard fashion style that these videos usually have. They can also have a capsule wardrobe. And why would I want one of those extremely minimal capsule wardrobes if I'm not really gonna enjoy what I create with them? Something similar that I think I should have delved into a bit more is this idea that you can have these many items, and with those many items, like say 20 items in a capsule wardrobe, you can create 100 or so, very high amount of outfits. And the thing is, you can do that, right? Especially if you have very neutral pieces and pieces that are really plain. Like, notice for example in this image how the bottoms are all skinny jeans in solid neutral colors, but of course a lot of people don't have that, or their style isn't just like that. They have a lot of different styles of bottoms or of pants, or maybe they like different types of skirts and different colors and different prints, even printed bottoms and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff that doesn't really work the same way. But I think that something that's missing in that discussion is that you don't necessarily like the way that all those pieces really, all the tops look together with all the bottoms and such. You might not really like how it ends up looking, and therefore you won't actually wear that outfit, because sometimes the way that a certain top looks with a certain bottom just doesn't quite look right to you, maybe because of the fit, or maybe there's something in the colors that is close enough but not quite right, or maybe you just don't like the look that it gives you. You think it's maybe not your style when combined with a specific top or a specific bottom or something like that. For example, I personally don't like to wear a loose fitting or flowy bottom with a top that is also very loose and flowy. I would rather have one of those be kind of more skin tight and the other more loose fitting, or vice versa. But of course, if you just take the mathematical approach, you don't really take into account how those pieces are going to look together. Another thing that I have seen said a couple of times is that you only need 1 or 2 pieces of a specific color in your wardrobe. When you wear an outfit that only has 1 piece in a bright color, I don't think it really looks wrong necessarily, but it doesn't quite look like you decided to wear that color. If you wear all black with a purple skirt, it doesn't look like an outfit that is that deliberate. It looks like you just kind of added purple for the sake of not having like an all black outfit. But if you add something like a purple choker, and maybe purple eyeshadow or purple lipstick, then, or maybe nail polish as well, just a few details of purple somewhere else, it looks like you wanted to have some purple, you know, like you wanted to have a purple outfit but not necessarily a monochromatic one, for example, right? And that looks a bit more finished and a bit more deliberate, I think. And also, if you do want to have a monochromatic outfit, you necessarily are going to need several pieces of the same color, of the same supposedly pop of color. So it's not really gonna be enough with just one or two pieces of the same color. So I think that, you know, not everyone is a fan of being like matchy with their clothes. Especially, I think a lot of people aren't fans of matching their eyeshadow with their clothes. But I think it's not as obvious if you match your bottom, the color of your bottoms, with maybe your eyeshadow or something like that, especially if they're not exactly the same shade. And also, if you do have pretty large collection of shoes with different colors, you could wear a top that is the same color as the shoes or something like that. The sixth thing that I wanted to mention, and last thing, is the idea that you should spend more money on investment pieces. The issue that I have with this is that you never really know for sure how much you're going to wear something until you actually own it and it's in your wardrobe. You could look at something, you know, you can try it on and imagine it with different outfits and stuff like that, and think that you're gonna get a lot of wear out of it because there's a lot of pieces in your wardrobe that go with it. But at the end of it all, you might not end up actually reaching for it, you know. Maybe there's some little imperfection in how it fits you, in that you didn't notice when you tried it on, or maybe just something about you doesn't convince you that much, you know. Maybe you notice that it's a little bit too short or a little bit too long. The shade isn't exactly the one that you predicted it was going to be, because sometimes colors look a little bit different in the lighting of the store, and especially online, in online stores, the colors look different from what you get in when it gets to you. It's sometimes quite striking, so you might assume that a color matches, you know, a specific piece in your wardrobe, and it really doesn't. So my point is that you might buy something and convince yourself that it's going to end up being a staple and you're gonna wear it a lot, and maybe at the end you won't. And of course, you could sometimes resell things, or you might be able to return things, but you might not be able to do that. And what happens then? You essentially wasted your money. I guess maybe if you're buying something really high end to replace something that was more low quality, but that you did really like, it makes a bit more sense like that, because you know that's the kind of thing that you tend to wear. But again, there's a little bit of room for mistake or for error, you know. This version might be a little bit more, it might fit you a bit differently. Again, maybe the material feels a bit weird or something like that. There's always some room for mistake, and so I don't think that there's necessarily any reason why you should try to spend more money in any specific piece. And of course, you know, if you do want something that is inherently going to be kind of expensive, like you want a leather jacket or something like that, then it's evident that you're going to end up having to spend a lot of money. But I do think there's something kind of weird about calling it an investment piece again, because you don't really know how much wear or how much the price per wear that you're going to get for that piece, until you're really wearing it, you're really starting to wear it outside with outfits and stuff like that. So yeah, this idea of an investment piece is a bit strange to me. Maybe it depends a lot on lifestyle and stuff like that, you know, how much experience you might have with capsule wardrobes or with minimalist fashion. And this is coming from someone who is honestly not used to spending a lot of money on clothes. As you probably know, most of my clothes are secondhand or hand-me-downs, or I just got them for some other you know, fairly cheap price, or I got them from vintage stores, so you know, they're not really that expensive. So I can't really envision myself paying $100 for one piece without really knowing what I'm gonna wear or not. And that's not to say that that price isn't reasonable, because of course, if you're a brand that has, you know, good designers, it has people who know what they're doing and who sew well and design well, and they get paid a fair price for their work, they get paid, you know, a fair wage for their work, then I think that it makes perfect sense for an outfit for a piece to be particularly expensive. But that doesn't mean that it's better to buy it new from this specific business than it could be to buy it secondhand. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, that you found it helpful, and tell me what you think about it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.